Hello and thank you for joining us on the Friday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Kemi Foladiemo. Today on the program, Azonto, the leader of the Benue cult group who killed more than 300 people arrested by the army in Taraba State, just as 3 masterminds of the Bethel High School students' abduction also got nabbed. And later on the show, the army vows to deal with female soldier for dehumanizing corps member in a viral video, just as Governor Ikpeazu tasks Abia Commissioner of Police to arrest policemen who raped polytechnic students. I'll be hanging out today with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Paul Dada. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the program. It's good to have you join us. If you're ready, Journalist Hangout starts now. Well, it's cheering to hear some positive news in the fight against insecurity in some parts of Nigeria. In Benue State, for instance, one Azonto, the notorious leader of a cult group in the state that killed more than 300 people, has now been arrested by men of the Nigerian army in Taraba State. And in Kaduna State, police also arrested 3 of the 25 masterminds of the Bethel High School students' abduction. We can only urge security personnel to raise this tempo. Kudos indeed, BKO, to the Army and all its partners in seeing this Benue development now, in seeing this through, talking about the arrest of Azonto.
Yes, I am particularly very happy about the positive development emanating from men of the Operation Wild Stroke, backed by vigilantes. Azonto, we've discussed the matter of Ondofa Chikele, alias Azonto, on this program in the past. Conservatively, between the time, because he is related to the late TVC Akwaza, alias Ghana, who was the leader of a cult group in Benue State that was killing people, killing soldiers. Now, when, and for years, the army was trying to track this guy, make him pay for his sins, but they did not succeed. They will launch operation, they will not succeed in getting hold of him. In exchange for peace, the governor of Benue State gave Akwaza, what was it called?
An offer.
Offered him amnesty. But after that, just as we've seen in the North West, he went back. After the amnesty agreement, he went back to committing all kinds of crimes. Because the truth is, when you give bandits amnesty, it will never be enough for them to take care of themselves. They've been used to making big money. For example, someone who could earn about 300 million from one operation, you now offer them amnesty. The kind of money that, meanwhile, their mouths, as the Yorubas will say, had become white. So there is nothing that you can give him in the exercise of amnesty and the rest that will be as big as what he used to make during his years of committing crime. So TVC, alias Ghana, went back to committing crimes, went back to abducting people, went back to killing people, you know, including security agents. Now, because the killings were becoming too rampant, the senator representing the Sankera zone of Benue State, that's the former governor, Gabriel Suswam, appealed to the governor to give TVC Akwaza another amnesty. That this time he had promised that he will no longer take to crime, that he had become a changed person. And they gathered traditional rulers, big politicians, and there was a reception in Katsina Allah Stadium. That's the Katsina Allah area. That's the zone, the area that is called Sankira zone. So they gathered people in the stadium, and they were jubilating that peace had come to the area, to that territorial zone, because they had agreed, Tewase, Akwaza alias Ghana, had agreed to lay down his arms and embrace amnesty. The governor was then waiting for him in Government House. So when the event ended, as they were going to Makodi, the army mounted a roadblock, got hold of him, and had him killed. That was what happened. And then they also arrested some of his own men who were going with him, who were on this party, going to see the governor, you know, where the amnesty program had been planned and all that. So the manner in which he was wasted by the army was what angered Azonto, Ondofa, Chikele, alias Azonto. They now began a killing campaign, just typical of terrorists. Began killing people. On market days, they will come to a market and begin to slaughter people. On one particular day, they killed 37 persons. Then big people in Benue State from that area found it difficult to go home. Some of them will only go home with extreme security cover. Then something happened. The elder brother of Governor Suswam, they got hold of him and killed him. As a way, because they were now saying, oh, Suswam and co lured him to his death. You know, but that was not what happened. As far as the army was concerned, it was not properly briefed about the amnesty program, although the state government denied that. The army's other argument was that they had never seen where somebody was given amnesty 2 times. Which made sense. That look, you keep giving this guy amnesty, you keep coming back to kill us, to kill other people. Look, because we're talking about, this guy killed 16 policemen in one day. I have dates, because I had been tracking them for some time. 16 policemen in one day. There was another day they killed 3 policemen and a Chinese who were working on a cassava facility. So now he now went to, you know, Operation Wild Stroke, that military unit. Their tentacles extend as far as Taraba. Taraba and Benue are quite close, especially in the Zaki Biam, Katsina, that whole area. So he went to Jalingo, lodged in an hotel. There were 4 men with him and 2 guests. The 2 of those men, he sent 2 of those men on an errand. They didn't know that the army had been tracking them. So they got hold of them and forced them to lead them to where the hotel, the hotel where Azonto was staying. The army now encircled the hotel and got him arrested. One of those guests fled. One of the guests fled, but they still have those 4 guys that were arrested with him, you know. And I'm just happy because even before now, progress has been made in terms of decimating his group.
Yeah.
They have succeeded in killing a good number of them. There are still there are still some of them, very dangerous ones that are still alive among
from the gang.
Yes, people like Odo, people like Aminu Dana Sabe. Dana Sabe is an Hausa guy, but part of his group. Akat and Full Fire, the most dangerous member of the group still alive is Full Fire. So, but the army are still
closing in.
They are looking for him. People are confident that if they can get hold of these guys, the threats that they constitute in that whole area will come to an end.
Right.
Because already now the threats had been reduced drastically by the campaign, the military campaign against them. In fact, there was a time that they came to Osun State to show you how serious our guys are. They came to Osun State to arrest some of his men and their girlfriends. They now took them back to Benue State, where they led them to shallow graves where they buried their victims, including two wells that were filled up with dead bodies. So these things had been happening, and it's just pleasing that at least we are coming to the end of the nonsense that Azonto and others constituted.
I particularly like the background that you give to this story, you know, because not many people would understand just what the average Benue resident was facing, and talk less, you know, of victims who have had the ugly experience, you know.
Yes, you know, we are more conversant with other. A lot of those things don't get reported.
Absolutely, absolutely. But let me get Paul Dada's take. How much of a breakthrough is this for you when you look at the trend that, you know, first it was Ghana and down to his lieutenants, and with this latest arrest of Azonto? Yes,
it's a major breakthrough. You know, this man is not, if it's not even, I think it's even fiercer than his deceased boss, the one that was killed by the army. His boss, who was actually his cousin. He was the deputy to this other person, and it's very clear that even the amnesty that was offered was not necessary, because you don't offer an amnesty to someone who is not repentant. Now, it's very clear from what we see here that this man had perpetrated a lot of atrocities. He killed so many people. You know, besides the grave that Jide spoke about, there was also a time that police had to go and demolish 2 buildings that they were using as kidnapper dens. You understand? They are dens where the people they kidnapped, where they kept them. You know, and like he said, they are so notorious. They have their tentacles are even spread to Osun State. They can escape anywhere. Now, what I would say is that it's a breakthrough, but we need to learn from the fact that the death of Ghana, there was no let up in the space of atrocities that they continue to perpetrate, despite the fact that Ghana died. Now, the fact that this man has been arrested does not mean that his lieutenants will also will now just ease in their operations. Exactly. So they still remain a threat. They still remain a threat, and a very strong threat. So they must go after these ones too. Then we must not just be giving out amnesty anyhow, because when we give amnesty to those people, we are actually saying that we are at a very weak point, that they have an advantage over us. So let the authorities keep going after these guys. Yes, let them keep going after these guys, and let them show that, look, darkness cannot prevail over the light in this nation. The people that perpetrate this mischief are fewer than good people. They can't continue to hold the whole state, the whole society to ransom. So we must show that we are better, we are greater, and we are stronger than they are.
All right. Well, Bikio, what do you make of how formidable the leftovers in Tewasi's camp, in Azonto's camp? Now, how much of a threat do you see them as? Of course, with the persistent push by Operation Wellstroke team members.
Yes, we are there before, and that encourages me to think that we are finally going to see the back of this extremely dangerous group. The chairman of the local government, Honorable Alfred Atera, set up a group made up of young boys who are from the area, who understand the terrain very well, who know all of these guys. You know, they grew up together, so you can't tell me stories about yourself since we grew up together. So he's trying to do what was done in Borno State. You know, it was civilian JTF that chased Boko Haram out of Maiduguri metropolis. Because they were going to their homes to fish them out. They knew everybody. They knew them. They grew up together, so you can't hide. Boko Haram was originally not staying in Sambisa Forest. They were in Maiduguri metropolis killing people. If you were in a taxi and you spoke ill of Boko Haram in the taxi, before daybreak you will be killed. It was like that in Borno State. Before they were flushed out of Maiduguri metropolis and had to go and reside in the bush. So now, Honorable Atera set up that group, working with the army. They know the bush, they know the forest. So they are taking the army to places where they know that these guys are. And it has helped in tracking and killing some of the most dangerous members of the group, like Dan Fulani, like Bebatu and Clark. They've been killed. They used to be very effective to the point that Azonto gave them different parts of Katsina Ala zone to man. That was his level of confidence, and then they was, okay, this ward, you are in charge. You know. Now, apart from that,
BK, well, let me introduce Ulushola. We have our first caller from Ibadan. You're most welcome. Carry on, please.
Hello, good evening, Fola Adeyemo. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Ulushola.
Dada, good evening.
Good evening.
Papa Jide Otitoju, good evening. This is your car.
good evening.
Thank God it's Friday.
You
Very
beat me
good
to
cap.
it. I wanted to
don't know
comment
what
on
will
that.
happen. Maybe I will have to collect that cap as a gift for the weekend.
Thanks.
All right. That's good. Now, I want to appreciate what is happening in that axis. And Baba Jide Otitoju, thank you for that knowledge you have given to us of the event that has happened before the apprehension of this very man. But I will appreciate that proper justice should be meted on this man. They should not toy with it. That's number one. Number two, they should make it very speed so that it will be a deterrent to those people themselves that are make themselves king and even lord over the good people of this country, especially people in that area, so that they will be curbed and proper justice will be served, and people that have been punished during the course of these people, they will now find out that yes, the government of the day is working, and we thank God for this, and we appreciate this, and we pray that something like this will continue, so that our country will continue to experience good things.
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Babajide and everybody over there, happy weekend. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Same to
Thank
you
you.
indeed.
Yes.
Carry on, please.
As I'm speaking with you now, there's a meeting going on in Tordonga. That is the hometown of Azonto. His father, Akwaza's father, has been invited to that meeting. What they are doing is to mop up the weapons in the hands of these guys. Akwaza's father was told to release the weapons of his son, and he said he did not know where he kept weapons. But the chairman has said anyone connected to that group who refuses to disarm will be severely dealt with. So they are having that meeting. They don't just want to sleep on this success. You must mop up the arsenal of these devilish people. If we don't mop up the arsenal at their disposal and make it difficult for them, if not impossible, to have access to fresh weapons, you will not be able to make real progress, because with the weapon, a bandit feels superior to you and I. He may not, if we are to go into hand combat, he may not be able to beat us. But a man who has a weapon can tell 200 people to sit down, and they will obey him. So the first thing they are doing is to mop up weapons in that whole area. I must report that there had been a lull in attacks by them. You know, they were trying to blackmail the government. They told the government to allow them, that if government wanted peace, that government should allow them to be collecting taxes in markets. So that, you know, that area is a food basket of our nation. So that if you are bringing, you want to sell yam, in Zaki Biam, for example, they can say, okay, this is how much you pay. You are bringing yam to Kasinala in a 911 Mercedes 911 truck. This is how much you pay. They wanted to be in position to come up with those levies and simply pay government whatever pleases them. They also told government, because the government of Autumn banned the use of motorbikes, and that is their favorite means of moving around. They banned the use of motorbikes in that whole area. It became painful for them, difficult for them to move around. So they said if the government wanted them to cease fire, that it should restore the use of motorbikes, so that they can navigate the forest and other areas with it. But the government said no, that ban stays. So they are already being emasculated. That's why the kind of reports that we were getting in March, when somebody will come home, there was a lecturer from Natural State University who came home with his wife, and they were murdered. They will come to a community, kill people, and set the houses there ablaze. Some of those reports we are no longer getting. So for them to have even, for the security agencies to have come all the way to Osun State to arrest these guys, that should tell you the level of seriousness attached to defeating Ghana's old gang and ensuring that they no longer constituted a threat to people in that area.
All right. Well, before we wrap up the issue of the Benue insecurity situation, so what are your final thoughts on this issue regarding the arms that could still be in circulation that the government and security forces are trying to mop up? Because one point that I picked from BKO's previous analysis is, and I want to compare it with you, that could that just be the missing link now in this issue, or why amnesty has been so, much of a failure? Should security forces or the government explore amnesty when it gets to a breakthrough? Like in this case of the arrest of Azonto now that the remaining, whoever is left in the gang now may not have so much of a choice other than to surrender his or her weapons.
No, I'm not sure that the notorious ones will want to surrender their weapons willingly. Even
with this?
Yes, even willingly. See, the smaller fishes among them could be turned into state witnesses. You understand what I'm saying? Like in the court, like those who are being used as foot soldiers, those who are being used as maybe carriers of the weapon, transporters of the weapons, and all of them. But these ones should be made to face the full wrath of the law. Now, apart from the mop-up, we should also think about cutting off, identifying the sources of the weapons and cutting off the supply of the weapons. They get these weapons from somewhere. Where do they get them from? You see, we need to, because of course you can mop up these weapons, doesn't mean they can't get more. You understand? So where are they getting these weapons from? Is it with the connivance of some security agents? Where are they getting these weapons from? Like the bandits and the Boko Haram, we know where they get these weapons. We know the route through which these weapons come. You understand? Some of them even come from outside porous borders and all. So it could also be that these ones are also getting. There are gun runners that work with these guys. So who are those gun runners? So they must cut off the supply of weapons. And I don't think we should be thinking of amnesty, except we want to use those that are being used as messengers and all of that, who will probably give us, who open a lot of cans of worms, when these people are being prosecuted.
All right. Well, we'll continue with our conversation on insecurity. We'll move on, however, but that will be after this break. You're watching Journalist Hangout. Stay with us for more on the show. Many thanks for staying with us on Journalist Hangout, showing right here on your screen on TVC News. And still on the cheering report of the arrest of the dreaded kidnapper in Benue State, talking about Azonto. Of course, as BKO and Paul Dada, have established, the army needs to intensify its efforts now in completely eradicating the area now of all these threats. But I must ask, BKO, what had been fueling the activities of these criminals? Like you said at the onset, these crimes had gone unreported for so long. Many of us outsiders would see the threat, the insecurity in Benue State as only the killer herdsmen and all that, perpetrating with the government's efforts in making the state safer. But with these guys, tell us more about what had been fueling their dominance in the area before now.
Yes, they are only concentrated in that zone, the Kasinala zone. And they are basically bandits, kidnap for ransom and all that. That's what they do basically. And then if you are bringing food supplies to the area, they force you to pay. If you are not prepared to pay, they kill you. So they do all of that. The headsman issue is a serious one, but once it is a crime committed outside of that Sankira zone, then it's killer herdsmen that are involved. These ones do not move outside of the Kasinala zone.
So they stay in their domain.
Yes, that's their area of strength. They remain there, cause all the havoc, kill people, especially on market days. Just show up on market day. I remember, I think it was on the 24th of March. Between 4 and 5 p.m. they went to Abaji market, killed 16 persons, So it's the chairman of the local government, they killed his maternal father and moved from there to also kill other people. Went to the house of the local government secretary, burnt it down. Same day they went to the house of the PDP chairman in that locality, killed 3 of his brothers. So that's their own kind of that's their own pastime, simply killing people for fun in that Kasinala area. But killer herdsmen, because Benue is the most fertile state in our country, herdsmen find the Benue Valley really, really useful for pasture, and in terms of his pasture and all that. And they've always had clashes with farmers in that area,
Well, let me compare PKO's notes or analysis with yours, Paul. For you now, when you look at the political climate there, of recent, there was this, talk between Governor Tom and, his rivals, on the other side. But how much of the political climate in Benue, how much of it do you think has impacted on the atrocities of a gang as this?
Actually, bandits like this have no political ideology. They have no business with politicians. Or maybe it's possible that unscrupulous politicians might want to use them, and they use them. But primarily, what they are after is kidnap for ransom. Of course, any politician that wants to engage them will also pay them. It's all about money. You understand? It's all about the money. So the issue.
Go on now.
Okay.
All right. But okay. So while we, check with and expect, calls from our viewers, BKO on the other side in Kaduna State, there is also, the breakthrough that the government is recording. First, it was, more release of the students from Bethel High School, and now we have 3 of the 20-something gang members, also now arrested. What do you make of this? And you were talking about weapons. These people were not just, arrested. They were arrested with, large arms and ammunition in their possession.
Yes, it's a good thing, especially that we are able to make arrests in respect of the Bethel schoolboys, school children kidnapping, because their parents have gone through a lot. They are forced to pay ransom, and they were just releasing people in piecemeal fashion, meaning that it's only parents who had paid ransom who were able to raise the money that they asked for, that they were releasing their wards. At the last count, they still have about 20 or so of those children in their custody. So I think that it's significant that they were able to arrest some of the masterminds. That will lead us to the real sponsors of this kind of violence in our country, because when you look at even one of the gang leaders saying that he got only 100,000 naira. I've said repeatedly that when you see these bandits, you know that they are not the ones who enjoy all the money that they collect as ransom. There are some big people who sit somewhere who take the lion's share of this money that people pay as ransom. These guys are just foot soldiers. They're just foot soldiers. You see them, they look dirty. They don't look like people who have had access to good money. Yet they are the ones who put guns to people's backs and insist that they must pay so amount of money. So to defeat banditry in our country, we must identify the sponsors, and we must not try to cover up these sponsors, except if we don't want banditry to end. Once we fish them out, let the law take its course. That's what the Attorney General should be doing. We've had reports in the past that some Boko Haram financiers were arrested. So why is it taking eternity to put them on trial? When will people learn that when you commit a crime against the state, you are not going to be allowed to escape, when they can't see people being punished for committing those crimes? How many times have we seen a Boko Haram terrorist jailed? But our neighbors, we've seen our neighbors jail them. In fact, Chad sentenced them to death, and the sentencing was carried out. They shot them. They tied them to stakes and they shot them. Boko Haram men do not deserve any fate better than that. They should be tied to the stakes and shot. Some of them are 16-year-old, 15-year-olds. They force those guys to marry them, and we're in the process of rehabilitating such idiots. It makes no sense.
Biko, let me interrupt you once again and bring in Rahim from Songo. Welcome.
Hello, good evening, ma.
Good evening. You're welcome to the show.
Good evening, Mr. Babajide and Mr. Paul.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The issue is that when Evan was arrested about 4 years ago, nothing was done to this man. Up till now, don't even hear about Mr. Evan. So if Evan had been killed that time or sentenced to life in jail, this problem will not escalate like this. Because nothing was done to him, everything has escalated. So if something has done to Mr. Evan that time, I'm sure these people, all these hooligans will not be, things will not be, going wrong like this. So that's my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. He's talking about Evans, but of course the matter is still in court. Of course, it has also suffered while looking at the length of time that has passed, but at least 2 judges are sitting over, cases involving Evans and some members of his gang.
The whimsical nature of our judicial process does not help the cause of justice, does not help us to teach valuable lessons, and in good time. It's good to teach lessons, but when you teach that lesson in good time, when everyone's memory is still fresh, people will learn. Not when the matter is forgotten. You are now coming to judgment. We must do whatever it takes to expedite the wheel of progress, of justice in our country.
Yeah.
That's the only way we can help ourselves out of this. Because they came out with the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. But in spite of that, cases still drag on till God knows when. These Evans that they are talking about, by now Evans should be rotting in jail. By now, it's about time. It's a long time that this matter happened. And there's no way anyone can tell me that we can't come up with a prima facie case against Evans because one of his victims died. The one who was a transporter. Yes, died in his hands. So what are we waiting for? Or are we simply going to be here when Evans will walk away free? People are already speculating that he may become a free man soon. Or because of the millions that he has taken, because Evans was collecting ransom even in dollars in some cases. Is it because he had access to so much money that his lawyers can contrive that the case drags on until we get lethargic? I mean, look at that Ugandan woman who tortured the little girl in that viral video. Within weeks, she was jailed. You remember that viral video of the little girl? Within weeks, she was jailed. That is the way it should be. In our country, lawyers will be filing frivolous applications, doing everything.
Objections.
Yes, doing everything to slow down the wheel of progress, so that even you, the litigant, at a point you get exhausted, you just say, let's settle out of court.
Indeed, BKO. Well, Paul, what do you make of our system of justice in Nigeria? There's the talk about not just Evans. There are so many, cases like this. The judges would place the blame on the lawyer, especially the defense counsel.
This is one subject that has been of very sore concern to me. Lawyers always have a way of frustrating the system, frustrating the will of justice. They come in with, first of all, a lawyer can even say, look, my lord, your disposition shows that we can't get justice in this case. Please recuse yourself. Yes. And then they have to argue over that. Before they even go to the substance of the case, there have been so many preliminary objections. They have to argue. This one bring counter argument. And sometimes also, you know what happens? Because the court, the docket of the court is filled, and maybe, for example, you have a case today, and then because the lawyers are frustrating the speedy movement of the case, the lawyer can just say, okay, maybe the judge will say, okay, can I give you, this is September, right? Can I give you October? I say, no, I have a case in Abuja. And I say, can you give me November? The judge will say, oh, no, look at my calendar. The calendar is filled. The earliest I can give is December. And then it goes on and on. Justice delayed is justice denied. Justice must not only be done, it must be seen to have been done by the people. So criminal cases like this, especially just the blood of people that the likes of Evans have killed, the likes of this man, Azonto have killed, is crying for justice. It's crying for justice. You can't just keep playing around with cases. So there has to be a way of expediting. Maybe we have to have special courts to deal with certain criminal cases.
And
even my mind goes to, because I'm sure you've covered some of those cases. Fayose versus the state is Fayose. Is case with the EFCC. About 12 witnesses had already been brought to court. Now we had to go back.
The judge?
We had to go back to square one. Because the EFCC lawyer said he was not sure that they would get justice from that judge. They were abusing one another. The judge and the lawyer, they were abusing one another. Ultimately, the lawyer...
Once again, I come to interrupt. We have Sam from Benue. Sam, how much of a closure is this for you, looking at the arrest of Azonto? You're welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you, Ma. Good evening, Babajide.
Good evening.
And good evening, our I'm Commander.
Good evening.
I'm so happy to be tuned to Journalist Hangout today and then to hear Babajide live and direct. I really wanted to get Babajide's number all this while, but I can't get it. I just want to make a contribution in respect to this issue of Zone 2 is actually going on now. I really appreciate God for giving Governor the privilege and then the Army the opportunity to arrest this man. Benue State has been a bloodbath state because of the likes of Ghana and Azonto and other men of his own gang. This issue of cultism, aside the issue of banditry and the issue of Boko Haram.
All right.
The issue of cultism has become a major issue in Benue State. And we pray that God will help us, that we will bring this in to a standstill in our country, and especially in Benue State. Just like Babajide said, that Benue State is one of the major parts of what they call it, agricultural in Nigeria. So we are praying that God will help us, that they are going to nab everyone that is connected to this issue of cultism, not only in Makurdi, but also in places like Boko, in Otupo, in Atoka, and other areas. They have taken over the whole street. That sometimes they can't even sleep because of cult guys. Everywhere. The ones we are hearing on air, the likes of Azonto, they are just the ones that are popular. There are other small ones in other areas that are doing terrible issues to people everywhere. Kidnapping and stealing.
All right, Sam, thank you so much. But we must rest our conversation now on the security situation in Benue, Kaduna, and turn our spotlight to the behavior of some of our security agents, as have been noticed of recent. Well, it's barely 24 hours now since circulation of a viral video where a female soldier was seen pouring dirty water on a corps member who was fully kitted. Now, Agba Jalingo, a citizen journalist, had shared the video asking social media users to reshare until it gets the attention of the army authorities. And the Nigerian army has now vowed to sanction the female officer who assaulted the corps member publicly in Calabar Cross River State's capital. Let's share that video with you. Well, there you have it. That's the video for those who haven't, seen it before. But Paul, you can understand the outrage that many Nigerians associated with that video. What do you make of it? I'm even looking at it from the part of the corps member in question. What's running through your mind, and how appropriate do you think the reaction of the Nigerian army has been in this regard?
I was particularly upset when I saw that video. Naturally, this kind of thing upsets me a great deal. It shows to me that there are many psychopaths in uniform. I think a lot of people who have mental illnesses find their way into the security agencies. And then, they already have a problem. They already, when a psychopath, someone was already a psychopath, and then you get him into the army or into the police. The person now has a leeway, to perpetrate his wickedness. So what I see here is someone who is misusing, misused our authority. If you look at this picture, even this lady could probably beat up this person if she's plumber. And she looks stronger, but she respected the uniform. Now, kudos to Agba Jalingo, but the thing is, now the military authority, the army has said it will deal with that soldier. But the thing is, if the video hadn't gone viral, will the army have come up to say what it said now? This thing happened, people knew, soldiers knew about it. It was not done in isolation. Now, nobody reported it until the video began to go viral. So, I think, well, fine, it's good that the army says, okay, we will deal with this particular person. But I also think that the army, not only the army, the police, all the security agencies must be doing periodical mental checks, mental health checks for the. No, it may look funny, but it's true. I remember there was once a report many years ago about there was a report that a number of commercial bus drivers in Lagos had mental problems. You understand? And you'll be surprised to find out that there are so many people in uniform that have mental problems. Some of them can't even, they can't even relate like normal human beings because they are not that they are in uniform. Okay, so they now have the chance to let out the evil that is in them.
With the power in their hands.
Exactly.
All right. Well, BKO. Well, like I said, for me, I'm looking at. Because it seems the core member, Cordelia, I believe, had even, succumbed, for her to even kneel down and, tolerate that much abuse on her person. I don't know how it looks to you, either on the part of the officer in question, Anele, or, the core member.
Well, because she's a soldier, and she just felt that if she obeyed her, then her moments of misery will not be extended. It's like going before a court and you don't waste the time of the court, you plead guilty. The court will be more lenient. She just submitted totally in the hope that this irresponsible army officer will let her go without prolonging her punishment. I guess that's what happened. It's unfortunate, even the way people get recruited into the army and the police, we've got to do something about it. Some people have no business wearing army uniform. They're all over the place wearing army uniform. Downright idiots who have no business wearing army uniform. You see them wearing army uniform. I see some videos and I tell myself that, look, if Amnesty International and other similar NGOs get hold of those videos, it will be bad for Nigeria. You can imagine soldiers misbehaving in the war front and recording themselves. They've not even got the brains to realize that, look, I can't afford to record myself in this form. And they are recording themselves. It goes viral. I've had cases when I called generals and I said, see, look at what I saw. One of the generals that I called some time ago is now a service chief. I said, look, I see all these things. When are you people going to put an end to this nonsense? And he said, it's embarrassing, but we'll try to identify the people. Even as the war is going on in Zamfara, there are videos of abuse. Why can't, I don't know how, is it that they don't talk to these people? Look at army privates, men and women, just coming out of a depot in Zaria, already boasting that if we get hold of those bloody civilians, we are going to deal with them, we are going to do this. A Nigerian American who is a U.S. Marine shot a video and told them that, look, you are untrained people.
Despite
you will not hear an American rant like this. Come out of the army, determined that now that I have this uniform, these bloody civilians, I'm going to deal with them. It is this sort of thing that led to NSAS. Remember, before NSAS, some policemen in Lagos had been misbehaving routinely, to the point that the then IG came to Lagos and promised that, look, they are going to do something that they will not give live ammunition to police anymore. Because they were just killing people. A policeman goes to a viewing center, gets drunk. He lacks the discipline to drink wisely. He gets drunk, and the next thing he opens fire on people. Even as we speak, it's still happening. We just can't. I don't know what we can do to stop our security people from shaming the uniform that they are wearing, because you disgrace the essence of that uniform. I have seen the PA, the military assistant to the NYC DG, disarm a crowd that came to set ablaze NYC headquarters and loot mattresses. He disarmed them without firing a shot. He just spoke to them. Did you see that video? One major military assistant to the DG of NYC. He spoke to them.
That was a gentleman.
Yeah, he said, see, he said this, if you steal these mattresses, what will your brothers who are coming to serve their country, what will they sleep on?
Because we've run out of time, but of course, you know, the despicable behavior, just when you think you've had it all, you're talking about, you know, disarming officers who even carry life. What about the case in Abia State now? We've seen the intervention of the governor Ikpeazu and his wife on a female undergraduate allegedly raped by policemen off campus.
We need to really know the people that we are actually enlisting into these forces. See, they are just wicked people. Even when you go, look, even when you go to a police station to lodge complaints, they will make you dry. My sister was missing. I went to report at the police station. If you see the money they were asking for, we don't have money to buy fire, we don't have money for signal, we don't have money for this. They have to pay for all of this.
All right.
It's very, very annoying.
Even if they do all that,
and they still did not
humanize people. They don't kill people, just fire at people. It makes sense. They rape policemen, raping people. Policemen who are supposed to fight crime, raping school, undergraduates.
Right.
That uniform confers moral authority on them, but they have moral.
He must get to the root of this matter. If Abia has a police commissioner by now, those guys will have been fished out. Let Nigerians see that those guys are a disgrace to the police. Let Nigerians see them for who they are.
Absolutely.
You are raping women. Police. Come on.
All right, gentlemen, we will rest on this note and hope that this indeed serves as a wake-up call to our law enforcement agencies to completely sanitize, the system, for the safety of all, not just civilians, but even themselves, because indeed these things are recycled. But I will rest our case here, and I must thank BKO for your robust contributions on the program. As always, Paul Dada, it's been a delight, sharing this table with you today. I hope to see more of you indeed, and thanks to you all for staying with us, and for those who called, thank you so much. That's our 7 for you on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program that will be online, and on Sunday you can watch Journalist Hangout Sunday special.